This is well hit, slicing down the left field line, and it drops in fair.
All right, the Jays entering a critical series with the Tampa Bay Rays today, and all eyes will be on Jays pitching prospect Trey Yesavage making his first appearance with the boys of summer.
So joining us live now is Drew Fairservice to talk about this. Drew, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Okay, let's start by talking about Trey Yesavage. How good is he?
I mean, he's blazed a trail to the big leagues this year. He's pitched in 4 different minor league levels, just striking out so many hitters all along the way. He's kind of an old school sort of a pitcher, such as it is. He throws right over the top. The strikeout numbers, again, are the thing that are going to jump right off the page when you look at how he's performed at every level. Really interesting to see how he's adjusted as he's moved along. And the most important thing is he's here because the Blue Jays think he can help them win. I saw a quote from John Schneider, something to the effect of like, this isn't a tryout. He's here because they think he can contribute to their efforts to win the World Series, which is really fun as a Blue Jays fan for them to be there. It's not a little cameo, and they're not easing him in. Of course, they wait till they go on the road. It's a little bit easier, and in Tampa Bay, of course, close to the Blue Jays development center. But it's a great move for the Blue Jays. It's the guy they think can get the most outs when they need them the most right now, and that's huge.
Drew, what does it say about the starting rotation for the Jays, though, that Schneider is willing to sort of mix it up a little bit and bring in? I mean, he's been a proven talent, like you said, in 4 different levels of the minor leagues, but unproven at the majors at this point here. What does that say, though, about like Schneider's confidence in the starting rotation?
I mean, the last trip through the rotation was pretty good. You can't complain. Kevin Gossman's been unbelievable, of course, pitching a complete game shutout just this last week. There is plenty of reason to be wary of some of the spots in the Blue Jays rotation. I think, Max Scherzer has been okay. He's been fine. Jose Barrios, there's been a lot of questions about him this year. I think anything that can give Scherzer a little bit of extra rest, anything that can give Shane Bieber a little bit of extra rest as he's on his way back, of course, from serious injury, I think is a good thing. Getting Trey Yesavage out there now, I think it also gives them a few more options come the postseason. So, they're really focused on getting the best record in the American League, on winning the American League East, getting that bye straight into the ALDS. Yeah. And then from there, I think what they're going to want to do is really stack up their rotation to be the way that they need it to be to win a short series and then continue on to the World Series. So I think that the Blue Jays rotation has been stretched a little thin, getting a couple of those pitchers some extra rest and giving them some options in terms of who's going to start a playoff game and then who also would be a real asset coming out of the bullpen come the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about the bullpen because we've seen the struggles in that area. It's been kind of spotty with Jeff Hoffman. What do you think needs to happen there in terms of strategy? Because we have a lot of these great starting pitchers, but if they're not, doing like pitching complete games,
it's kind of nail-biter time.
Yeah.
Gotta kind of ride with it at this point. I think they've done some good mixing and matching. I think the Blue Jays have a lot of faith in Jeff Hoffman, and I think he's earned that in a lot of ways. Of course, there's been some really shaky outings. He's been really plagued by the long ball, but you look at some of the names up and down the rotation or the bullpen, excuse me, and seeing how they performed enough. I think the biggest thing you can say is when you watch them this weekend against Baltimore and even in the series against Houston is how well they've done at keeping them in games, right? The Blue Jays can't make these big dramatic comebacks. They can't have these back-to-back walk-off wins if the guys in the bullpen aren't doing the job. And of course, sometimes it looks a little bit different than other times, but I think you think about lining up the pitchers that they have back there. And as we just said, when the playoffs start, if there's an opportunity to move someone, if it is Yesavage, if it is Barrios, or even Scherzer into the bullpen, to give you just a few more outs and a little bit more velocity, and hope that that's going to be the right thing to do.
Yeah, and Drew, this team feels a lot like that 2015 team, that level of excitement and sort of like this is the real deal versus sort of like maybe they're lucky to sort of get into the wild card or sort of make up. What's your assessment of this team kind of 10 years post the 2015 team? Because they're playing meaningful games in September and they really seem to have a great shot in the postseason.
They do. They play a really interesting and fun and exciting and kind of torturous brand of baseball. I think all these comebacks. It reminds me of the Giants teams from 2010, 12, 14. They won the World Series 3 times. They're not quite as powerful as those 2015 Blue Jays, but the excitement around them is real. To be in this position this late in the year with the chance, as we said, to to get the top seed in the American League, to get a bye right into the ALDS. That's huge. They play great defense, and they have an unbelievable knack of coming up with these really timely hits. We saw Alejandro Kirk all weekend long. Ernie Clement, guys, Joey Loperfido comes up from AAA and is able to contribute in meaningful ways. Addison Barger's been a huge contributor to this team all season long. It's really fun, and playing that brand of like a high heartbeat baseball, and their ability to never be down and out. It's a great way to endear the fans. It's not always good for their overall health, we as fans, but we can still have a lot of fun watching them, and being battle tested in those tight games can be really important come October.
Yeah, all the emotions, anxiety,
there, yeah.
joy, giving us the whole spectrum of feelings when we watch a Blue Jays game. And I think, they've now exceeded the Dodgers or surpassed them in terms of comeback wins. So interesting to watch. Okay, Drew Fairservice, go Jays go. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Drew.